Hello and welcome to the Graveyard Media Podcast, episode 57 for the week of September 10th, 2018. I'm your host, Saine Grey. With me is Dalsson.
Hooray!
And Thel.
I'm still looking at this fucking post on Reddit where this Joker is like,
I'm so
I
sorry.
didn't get the massive praise for Mission Impossible Fallout. And at first I was like, okay, let's see what he's saying. And then I look at it and it's like, oh yeah, two helicopters crashing into each other. That's not super realistic. Shit movie. Call out post for this fucking Joker. Probably CinemaSins.
Aha.
So how are you guys this week?
I'm fine. I took most of the week off because of the fact that I did two videos back to back, which isn't what I usually do. But I wanted to get that Hollow Knight video out, and it's out.
Your mic sounds a little echoey.
Oh, I know exactly why that is.
Yeah. While you're fixing that, how has your week been, Dalsson?
I have had a terrible week. It was awful, and I hated it, and I want to put it behind me. I had way too much overtime and way too little time to do anything else.
I see.
And I think I'm currently hungover, so
That's understandable.
The trifecta.
yeah.
You
I
tried
wish
a
I
whole ass
had-
country song about it.
I wish I had played a video game this week, but I haven't. So this will be an interesting episode.
Me too, man.
Same.
So we're probably mostly going to be movies this week.
Yep.
So if that bothers you, tune out now.
Okay.
You know, if you just generally just fucking hate movies, like the concept makes you angry, just like, yeah, you're gonna want to leave, man. I'd like to apologize. I don't know what they did
On
to
the
you.
other hand, Thel did say the word Hollow Knight once, so you should watch the whole podcast.
If we keep joking about that too much, people will start not watching any of it.
It's true.
All right. So why don't we jump right into it then, I guess. Who wants to start?
Who do you think wants to start?
I will begin. So I saw two movies this week. The first movie I saw was Won't You Be My Neighbor? It was the documentary on Mr. Rogers. This has been a very good year for documentaries. There have been a lot of really good ones. I've constantly on the podcast and everywhere else I possibly can have praised the hell out of Wild Wild Country. And Mr. Rogers is right there with it. It's the Won't You Be My Neighbor is a fantastic documentary. Wild Wild Country was a very, very good documentary because of the way it was made and sort of presented. It was presented in a very, very clever, interesting way to make this crazy nutball real life story look even more interesting than it actually was. And aside from there were a couple of animated segments, Won't You Be My Neighbor isn't the most interestingly made documentary. It's made pretty... It's about what you would expect for a documentary, but the thing is, it's just got some really, really, really good subject matter. It just sort of goes through the subject matter, and it does it in such a beautiful way. It has made everyone, including me, fucking cry.
I didn't realize it was a documentary. I thought it was like a dramatization.
Nah,
of
like a
events.
biopic. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was straight up a documentary.
Oh, okay. Well, interesting.
But yeah,
That's weird, because I could have... I don't know. I swear I thought it was that. Is there another one?
there is not, but I
Okay.
understand why
Yeah, I
you
don't
thought
know.
it. And for a while, I thought that it was also a biopic, mostly because of the fact that like it played in a lot of theaters and got a ton of buzz. Which
Maybe
is
it was
a
the
little weird.
trailer. Maybe the trailer made it look like more of a biopic than it actually was.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah. It might have been the trailer, yeah. But
My most of my early experience with movies is the theatrical trailers, so
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
But you're trying to sell it to you more than trying to tell you what the movie is.
yeah.
well,
And
I mean,
a lot of times
all
they tell you what
trailers
the
are trying to
movie is. Yeah.
all trailers are trying to sell you, but it's more that usually, yeah, they give you a better idea of what the movie is about. I wouldn't say... I'm not the kind of person who thinks most trailers are misleading, like I know that some people think, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like you can generally get a pretty good idea of a movie, at least in this particular sense by its trailer.
Some trailers freaking give away a lot of the movie though, and that's like always pretty bad.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. One of the things that the movie really talked about was the fact that Mr. Rogers was surprisingly, like, for the fact that he was a children's television show, he was surprisingly uncompromising. He had a very direct vision. He wanted to do a thing. And there were some things that fell within this thing, and this thing being he wanted to talk to children using television in a way that would make them feel like they have worth. And in a way that would explain some of the things about the large world that they're a part of. Like, there was a specific part, it was sort of early on in the movie, it showed one of the episodes that was just really, really well done. It's the tiger puppet, like, sort of, you know, moseys up to a lady and is like, "Hi there, I have something special to show you." "Oh, what is it?" "It's this balloon." "Oh, okay, could you blow it up for me?" "Yeah." She blows the balloon up. Now could you let the air out?" "Okay." She lets the air out of the balloon. "Can you tell me something else?" "Sure." "What does assassination mean?" And this was the this was an episode that came immediately after the Bobby Kennedy assassination.
Yeah, I remember that that was actually in the trailer.
Oh yeah. And that's understandable. There was a lot of just like I said, all of this stuff was delivered almost it was not delivered deadpan, especially by like the by the people who were being interviewed about it. But it was like delivered in a very basic documentary format, but like all of the archive footage and all of the stuff from the actual episodes of Mr. Rogers. Oh, excuse me, I got something in my throat. All of the archive footage and all of the stuff from the actual episodes of Mr. Rogers were very, 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 very well paced, of course, because it was made like that. It was made good, and you have like stuff like just like the crazy true to life story where Mr. Rogers saves public television by standing in front of a congressman and singing a song after he was basically pissed off at everyone else's argument that public television should be saved. But yeah, it was a wonderful documentary. If you want to go watch a fucking movie about how Mr. Rogers was a nice man and he was pretty much the exact same person that he was on the show, yeah, go watch this. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. It's incredibly emotional. It's like it's got that thing about, like, you know, what is it? It's like a lot of people complain about like Mary Sue's Mr. Rogers is a real person, but this sort of like is part of my point. As like the person that is like is just a completely like paragon of a person and everyone loves them. It's like this doesn't work if the audience doesn't also love this person, right?
Right.
And you can't help but not love Mr. Rogers.
It's true.
The best you can do is not care.
Yeah.
I actually remember watching Mr. Rogers as a kid, but I didn't like it because I thought it was boring.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that they talked about. Mr. Rogers, in comparison to a lot of shows, was really, really slow.
Yeah,
there was a whole section on that, especially like when it got into like the 90s and stuff was going crazy.
Yeah, and that's when I would be experiencing it because I was born in 91, so I was probably seeing this around, I don't know, 96. It's probably at the point that.
Yeah.
But I watched other public broadcasting
PBS
TV, PBS shows. I just thought that one in particular was kind of boring. What?
Yeah. Between the Lions was my shit.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of, but I didn't remember the name of it. I actually really liked Between the Lions. It's kind of like Sesame Street, sort of, but
sort of. It's like Sesame Street, but only about reading.
Yeah.
Huh. When I was a small child, I was just completely obsessed with Thomas the Train Engine.
Understandable.
And I call it that because some people call it Thomas the Train, and I don't know why, because they're wrong. It's not what it was called.
I see.
It was Thomas the Tank Engine.
No, I think.
But some
Damn,
people say
shit, holy shit, I don't remember Thomas the Tank Engine. Is that right?
it was not called Thomas the Train.
Yeah. Well, oh yeah, no, it was Thomas the Tank Engine. You're right.
was
You
Thomas
started
the
out
Tank.
with Thomas the Train Engine.
I did.
No,
I did start out with Thomas the Train Engine,
Oh,
and I
okay.
said,
Yeah.
I went into that rant.
Yeah.
They also
Anyway.
made one that was like Thomas the Train, or the Thomas the
Ah!
Tank Engine, except it was like helicopters and shit.
JJ the Airplane.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
fucking image that I had in my head for years. Like it was this image that I didn't think was real. That I just like it was like Thomas Tank Engine for planes. I thought it was like some crazy imagination of mine until I saw that little motherfucker's face in Hikiko Juichi. Fucking 20 years later, I was like, I know this motherfucker's real. What is that bastard?
I remember watching it was like either a bootleg or it was the same show, but
Shit
it was
a
about
bootleg. Fuck.
it was
Go
about
on.
it was about a helicopter called Budgie, which was different than the airplane,
I think I know
but it
what
was
you're
pretty
talking
much
about,
the
though.
same thing.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
That
I
sounds
think
familiar
that
to
may have
me,
been the
right?
one I was actually talking about,
That
but I
was- yeah.
also remember the airplane one. So
I think that I was under the impression when I was a child that the airplane one was the bootleg of Budgie the helicopter.
it's possible.
Hmm.
But
That's possible, too.
That it
You know
was.
what?
Yeah.
Maybe the whole thing is a cinematic universe.
Ah, of course.
The PBS cinematic universe.
What's going on with my camera? There's like a
Oh.
light waving in it.
Looks like a
hold
cat
on.
hair.
Yeah, it was cat hair.
Yeah.
Okay, that was really weird looking. Do you know what else was on PBS now that we're talking about it? Arthur.
It sure the fuck was. That was also my shit.
Thel and I watched the fuck out of some of Arthur recently.
Like we did that shit on like a whim.
Unfortunately, Mr. Rogers Meets Arthur was blocked on YouTube.
Jekyll, hide, Jekyll.
I think that one was blocked on YouTube too.
No, we didn't get to that point. I don't
Oh,
think.
okay.
That was like a much later season.
Yeah, that was
Really? All right.
Yeah. But yeah, the fucking songs in Arthur are jamming, like seriously.
What?
Oh yeah.
There was also there was a few PBS shows that I watched, but I can't remember them all. There was like some animation on there too that I liked.
Oh yeah.
Other than Arthur, obviously. I don't think
Yeah.
Arthur was well animated,
I
and
think
when it made the transition into Flash puppets, it didn't look
could
as
tell.
bad as Simpsons did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Clifford
Or it wasn't
was
as
on PBS.
drastic, I guess. Oh, really? Clifford was?
Yeah, Clifford
Yeah.
the Big Red Dog was on PBS.
I didn't know that, but I do remember watching Clifford.
I feel as though Blue's Clues was on PBS at
No,
one
it was
point.
Nick.
I know
was
it.
Junior. Yeah, I was gonna say it was like
I'm pretty
the fucking...
sure it got acquired by Nick Jr. because I know it was on a different channel too.
Oh, shit.
I think.
Oh,
I went to
what
the PBS website and started making noise
Oh no.
because I wanted to see what animations had existed in the past, but
Huh.
then it started playing music at me.
Yeah.
Oh, Magic
Thanks,
School
dude.
Bus.
Oh yeah, there we are.
That's one.
The Bernstein Bears. Dragon Tales. I remember that one.
I remember
Oh,
Dragon
fucking
Tales.
Dragon
Oh god.
Tales.
Oh, Cyber Chase. That's another one.
Oh
Yeah!
I remember Cyberchase.
That's one of the ones that I remember liking.
I remember wanting to bring up Cyber Chase, or maybe I did bring up Cyber Chase when we were talking about Reboot the other week. Did I bring
I
it up,
don't-
or did
I
I
don't
just?
know.
I don't think you did.
I don't know. Maybe you just thought it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I must have just thought it because I remember mixing up Reboot and Cyber Chase often when I was younger.
Yeah.
Reading
I remember
Rainbow.
I had a friend who was super into Cyberchase.
There's Reading
Now-
Rainbow. Was
Now-
that animated?
Now here's something that I never.
No.
No, it wasn't. No, it definitely wasn't
yeah.
because LeVar Burton was one of the lead characters.
Yeah, but I didn't
Var-
remember
War
if
was
it
the
was if it had. I think it might have had animated sections though.
maybe. I
A
think
lot
maybe
of
they
PBS
had.
things did.
Yeah.
A lot of these
Cyber
shows.
Chase. Here's a question about Cyber Chase.
Mm-hmm.
Did Cyber Chase have?
Go
It's
on.
done.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Did Cyberchase have actual Gilbert Gottfried, or did they have a Gilbert Gottfried impersonator for that bird, man?
It's
Oh,
probably an impersonator.
I doubt they had actual
The
Gilbert
actual
Gottfried.
Gilbert Gottfried, yeah.
I don't think anything had. I think everyone had Gilbert Gottfried characters in it because of Aladdin, but I don't think any of them were actually Gilbert Gottfried except for Aladdin.
Specifically Gilbert Gottfried birds.
No, it was voiced by Gilbert Gottfried.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
fuck.
was. Yeah,
Well,
Iago
all right.
in Aladdin was Gilbert Gottfried.
Well, yeah, Iago in Aladdin was Gilbert Gottfried, but what? Well,
That's what I meant.
oh, okay, yeah.
Not Aladdin. I wasn't saying Aladdin was voiced by Gilbert Gottfried, but
Yes, Aladdin himself. That was my favorite thing. That was my favorite part of Aladdin. It was the fact that Gilbert Gottfried voiced the main hero.
Apparently, the hacker was Christopher Lloyd.
Wow. Yeah, he's in stuff.
I guess they just had a bunch of
all-star
big names.
talent for this PBS show.
Yeah.
Can you? Okay, just like for a minute, consider that Gilbert Gottfried was on a PBS show. PBS
The
children's cartoon.
Aristocrats.
Okay, why don't we move on?
Yeah.
All right. I didn't see another movie this week because that was basically all I had to say about the Mr. Rogers documentary. It's fucking great. Go and see it.
Yeah.
Another very, very good movie. BlacKkKlansman. It's the new Spike Lee joint. One of the things that I want to say right out of the gate is, for all of the stuff that Spike Lee, whenever you think Spike Lee, you think of like all of his political stances and how political he gets with his movies. One of the things that I feel like because of that sort of goes to the wayside, Spike Lee is really good at building tension. This man is very good at that. Like Inside Man is a great view into this. Same with was it the 24th Hour? The one where Edward Norton goes to jail. Which I just call Edward Norton Goes to Jail. Also great at building tension, and same with this one. This was a very nice, very fun movie to go to. I heard before this movie, for some reason, I don't know why, but some people were like, I don't know if this totally feels like a very Spike Lee joint. And I was this is basically his most Spike Lee joint since
yeah, I don't know why anyone would think that. You can look at the title and kind of know what it's gonna.
Yeah, and it's like I feel like this is his most Spike Lee joint since he made that Malcolm X movie. It is of course very good. What he does a lot, as well as really good building tension, is he sort of he does like the whole blaxploitation thing. He does this whole Shaft thing, especially with like the music. It has this one theme that runs through the whole movie. It's really nice. It sounds great. The movie sounds wonderful. It also, it has some of those without falling into like the trappings of it. It has that sort of 60s noir feel to it, which is nice.
Yeah, I always like to see noir influences and things.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy to see that, seeing as this is like a cop movie set in the 60s. But yeah. What was it? Oh yeah.
So how heavy-handed was the political aspects of it?
Okay, so there were like a couple of lines that very, very, very heavily alluded to like current day politics, but of course these lines didn't like interfere with the main plot. Like the main plot itself is very solid and is self-contained, but of course it was like there were a bunch of lines in there that alluded to modern day politics, and then at the end there was archive footage of the Charlottesville protests and the people who were I think it was the Black Lives Matter protest that was like attacked by the car.
Yeah, that was Charlottesville. I don't think that was Black Lives Matter that was run down, but it was just people that were there protesting.
Yeah,
like statues or something.
Yeah, there was like that stuff, and
right.
That was that was like archival footage at the very end of the movie. But aside from that, the plot itself was very, very self-contained. It worked very well as like a movie outside of like the politics, and it worked very well as a movie inside of the politics. It could work either way.
Okay. Yeah, that's always a concern for me when I see Spike Lee movies. I'm like I'm always a little concerned because I don't agree with a lot of his politics in places. So I don't know.
But,
makes it hard to want to see his movies.
Yeah. He yeah, this one is a very, very good, very well put together movie. He's still a very, very good director, and it brings home another point. Adam Driver is a very, very good actor who I don't feel like gets enough for this. Like I think I talked about it like last year, because was it 2 years ago that he was in that Scorsese film? A film Silence, which came out with like Andrew Garfield and Adam Driver both playing like Italian priests. Like Andrew Garfield has like a couple of lines when they're talking about the thing, and then immediately as Adam Driver opens his mouth, he just like blows Andrew Garfield out of the water. And Andrew Garfield was the main character. They should have just switched up those roles.
I feel like Adam Driver has the kind of name that you'll never remember, but then you see his face and go, oh,
and you're like, oh yeah.
For anyone who's wondering, who's just like me and is terrible at names, he's
Kylo Ren.
He's Kylo Ren from Star Wars.
Star Wars, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's Dalsson. now Dalson's here.
It's like, oh yeah, that man. I know him. Yeah. He's very good. He is a tall man who is good at acting, and I like him.
He's also kind of ripped.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, a little bit. John David Washington also does a great job as Ron Stallworth. The whole movie is fantastic. That was one of the things. All of the acting in the movie is really, really good, and that's another thing that sort of pushes it forward. Especially with like Adam Driver, because like what happened, right, was the man who was Ron Stallworth, the black man named Ron Stallworth, talked to the Ku Klux Klan over the phone, and then Adam Driver had to go to the meetings for the Ku Klux Klan with his name. And so Adam Driver had to like attempt to act like him and act like a Jewish cop trying to pretend to be a racist. And, you know, he did a very, very, very good job with that. It's just one of those, you know, you know that the man is acting and he's doing a real good job. You know the character is acting and you forget that the actor is acting these two characters. It's wonderful.
Yeah, acting as an actor is very difficult.
Yeah. But yeah, BlacKkKlansman was very, very good. One of Spike Lee's best recent movie. I mean, you know, we ain't talking about that Old Boy remake. It was. This one was good though. Yeah.
There was a remake of Old Boy.
Does it count as a remake if the original was in a different country and
stuff?
Yes,
it is absolutely a remake.
Well, I guess maybe in this case, but what would you call that when it's just a I want to say
localization?
Yeah, localization. I almost wanted to say port, a port of a movie to another country.
Yeah,
localization, that makes sense.
Inaccurate.
Yeah.
Okay. Port.
I don't know. I
mean,
video games.
That sort of makes sense.
A sherry of a movie.
Yeah.
Localization maybe would.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of. Oh yeah, that's right. The movie that I've talked about some of the news surrounding it a couple times. They're remaking Tony Erdmann.
Who?
With it's got like Lena Dunham or something in it as the girl. It was a movie that I talked about a few podcasts ago, and like the very next podcast I found out, oh no, they're remaking it. Oh God.
You say a few weeks ago, but I'm sure that was like a couple months ago. But
okay, yeah, it was probably a couple months ago. I don't know what time is. It's a fucking concept that eludes me.
I try to forget about it, but it's very hard.
So why don't I move into Cold Skin now?
Okie
Sounds
dokie.
good.
Cold Skin. What time is it? 25. I'm trying to keep notes for, because I'm going to try to put timestamps in, but it's harder when I have to introduce my own things.
Yeah.
So, Cold Skin was... So, I'm pretty sure it was an indie movie because because I had never heard of it. Usually that's a good indicator.
Yeah. I haven't even heard of this one.
Yeah, let's see. It was Dennis, produced by Dennis. I don't know. I don't know who made this film.
Okay.
It looks like it looks like it was a French film. Or it was like made by a French
Spanish horror film.
Yeah.
Well, none of the characters seemed French or Spanish, so.
Oh yeah, they were. It was made by like a. Hold on a
Dennis Carnage.
Shut up. Oh, is it based on a book? Wow, okay, it's based on a book. A novel.
Alright.
By Albert Sanchez Pinal.
I wonder if
Man.
the book is any good.
Yeah, I'm really curious about that book now. Because... So... The reason I saw this movie at all, we were going to see Kin, I think, which is like this sci-fi movie, but the people I were with at the last minute saw the poster for Cold Skin and was like, hey, this looks like a zombie movie, let's see this one. First of all, no zombies. You would think maybe Cold Skin would be talking about zombies. No, it wasn't talking about zombies, it was talking about fish people.
Oh!
Like mermaids and mermen.
I see.
So you could make some comparisons between this movie and maybe Shape of Water, because it's both sort of fish love stories.
Alright.
Sort of.
So you can make a comparison between this movie and The Shape of Water?
Well, okay. So this movie takes place right before World War I. So, like... The dude pulls out a paper, so it's like right after Franz Ferdinand got killed, but before the war actually starts. The main character, who I didn't remember his name, but now I know why. It's because he didn't have a name. He was only referred to as friend.
Oh, okay. Droog.
So he basically it comes onto this island. Kind of a desolate island that has nothing on it except for a lighthouse and a shack, essentially. And the purpose is he's like a weather recorder, so he's taking notes on what the like wind speeds are and stuff, so he can help chart like trade routes and stuff for shipping lanes. And the other dude who's on the island is the lighthouse operator. Okay. And it says at the beginning this dude's here for a year. He has to stay here for a year because they replace the dude yearly, and I guess they get paid a certain amount for being there. So this is why I was sort of surprised that it was based off of a book. It has like some of the biggest plot holes I've ever seen. And
wow.
And
you watch a lot of movies.
I watch a lot of movies. It felt like this movie had no real point to it. Because, like, even less so than Transformers, right? Because Transformers, the point of that movie is, who cares what the plot is, I'm here to see robots fighting, right?
Right.
This one didn't, like, it seemed like it was trying to deliver a message, except the message got so mixed and muddled that it really didn't make sense. Do
you have any idea what the message may have been?
The biggest thing I think maybe it was like abuse, like parental abuse, kind of.
You see, because in a movie about fish people, I would imagine that the message would be something like save the oceans.
No, not even relevant. In fact, well, Okay, so
or like.
So let me go through a little bit of this film. I don't want to give away too much, and I can't even like talk about some of my biggest issues with it because that would kind of directly spoil a lot of it. But let me go into it. So
Okay.
the dude's there for a year. He discovers on the first night that he's attacked by fish people.
Oh no!
Like, and it only happens at night because they only seem to come out like when it's dark out, and they don't seem to like fire, and they don't seem to like light.
Okay, well, not liking fire makes sense. It'll dry out their skin, or something.
Yeah, dry out their cold skin.
Cold skin.
So the dude survives the first night in the shack. He has like, along with some of the provisions that he was given when he came onto the island, he like had a bunch of, you know, stuff like coffee and tobacco and the normal stuff you would assume, and like ammo. He has a gun with a ton of ammo with it. So after he survives the first night, he goes back to the lighthouse to find the dude who was there. Because when he was dropped off, they went to the lighthouse and talked to the lighthouse operator, and the dude was like, basically, didn't tell him anything. He was like, okay, new guy, whatever, go away. And then like that night, you know, shit attacks him at his shack. So the next day he goes to the lighthouse and is like, what the hell? Why didn't you tell me that there was like monsters every night that are coming out and trying to kill me? And he's like, because he's the guy seemed like a misanthrope. Like he didn't feel like he cared whether or not this guy lived or died, but because this guy lived, he was like, okay, you might be useful. Turns out every night I sit on the top of the lighthouse and kill them as they're crawling up the lighthouse. Didn't mention this to anybody. This is just something that is the case. So in addition, he has a female like mermaid lady. Okay. And I say mermaid, they have two legs, but
they're
they
more
have
like creature from the Black Lagoon type.
Yeah, but when they're in the water, they swim like mermaids, and they sing like sirens and stuff like that. So it's like, you can tell kind of
they're like the fish people, like kind of archetype.
Right. Yeah. Well, they seem heavily inspired by like sailing mythology, right?
Right.
More so than like what you would think like common mermaids and stuff, but or at least modern interpretations of that. So like, the weird thing about this is the dude's kind of in an abusive relationship with this mermaid. Later on, you eventually find out that he basically rescued her when she was a child, and now she's living with him, and they sleep together all the time, and it's kind of a weird, fucked up situation. And this guy, the main character, is like coming into this situation and being very, despite every night they're killing hordes of these things, right? He starts feeling really bad for the female one because she like is intelligent, and she tries to bring them food and whatever. So here's where it breaks down. The reason why I kind of think maybe the point of it was about abuse was because she has this relationship with this guy. I think his name is like Grunder or something.
Something weird.
Yeah, it's like
a lighthouse man name.
Weird lighthouse man.
Yeah.
So kind of like the implication is that she has this relationship with this dude where she like tries to help him and stuff, but every night she essentially summons this horde of monsters. Like, so you kind of
wait, if she wasn't there, they wouldn't be going after this place?
Yeah, it seems that way. It seems that she is calling them to come up this lighthouse so this dude could murder them. Later on, it talks about how she is remorseful that all of these things are like coming up and getting murdered on this dude. But it also shows that clearly she could just leave if she felt like it. Like,
Right.
she's not chained down. She's not, like, she has free reign of the island during the day.
Also, she's in the middle of an island, which would trap most people, but she's a fish.
She could just swim away. At a certain point, they have this underwater gear, and they go underwater to get this thing from a shipwreck. And she's, like, underwater with the dude. Like, it just so... It's, like... It feels like if... It makes it really hard to understand why anything is happening. Because it's like, if... she is summoning the like, why is she summoning the monsters if, one, she's remorseful that he's killing them, and two, if he cares about that dude, why is she trying to kill him with monsters, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like a three-pronged thing. Like, it explains away everything that you could think. Like, oh, she's summoning them because she wants them to die, but she's feeling remorse for that, so that's not the case. She's summoning them so she can escape, but she could just leave if she wanted to. She's summoning them to kill him, but she is staying with him and likes him.
Yeah, so it's...
it, like,
well, I don't think she likes him, but... I don't know. It's kind of this weird, like, kind of fucked up relationship between the two, but, like, if the point was to kill them, then... I don't know. Like, I don't understand. And it feels like there's this turning point in the movie where, like, so she seems to be summoning them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Except sometimes they don't come. Sometimes she doesn't, like, even try to summon them. And then after this one part, after they get this thing from the shipwreck, they don't come for a while until the dude forces her to summon some. So then they come, and then stuff happens, and then at the end of that, she leaves for a while. And then of it later on, she comes back because she likes the main character dude, and she like does something with him, and then he attacks him again, which causes other problems. So it's like every step of the way, it just, like, you don't understand her motivations at all. And it feels like there's this kind of big turning point in the movie where she actually leaves, basically. Right. And it's like, then the next thing that happens, it feels like there is a major plot development that happens off screen. Like, something kind of monumental changes, and you don't understand why that happens. It seems as if there is a missing scene from her point of view where something happens.
Is there any way you can draw a conjecture as to what it is that happens, or does...
Well,
do things just change?
Well... I don't know. Like, that's the weird thing.
It's more of like a, like, there's probably something that happened, but at no point does the movie allude to what it was or could have been.
Yeah. And, like, so suddenly she comes back with basically a bunch of dudes. So it's like, I don't know, it's weird. It's so weird. And then on top of that, at the end of the movie, there is this scene that parallels the beginning of the movie, except that scene makes no sense because the situation that the main character is in is so much different than the situation is paralleling because of the events of the movie. So you don't understand, like, if it doesn't make any sense, because if the point was the dude is essentially replacing Grunder, that doesn't make any sense because he wouldn't be in the position to be replacing Grunder because they kind of fixed the conflict. So it's like, it doesn't make any sense. So I don't understand it.
Well, I don't know. Even if there aren't crazy, scary fish people, there's still a lighthouse still needs to be kept on an uncharted island.
But it's like, but the situation that Grunder was in makes sense for why he would be like that in the beginning of the movie. Like, after the events of the movie, it's really confusing why this character would be in the situation. like if it was just that he wanted to essentially replace him and say he was Grunder the whole time and replace the guy at the lighthouse, then he could have done that, but they didn't need to parallel it because there was like he wasn't the same person that Grunder was, clearly based on the events of the movie.
Yeah.
So it's like it makes no sense to parallel that because they're not, the situations are so couldn't be more different. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't.
I think what the guy was trying to do was go with like symmetry. Unfortunately, he didn't have like a plot that allowed for that, but he still wanted to do it.
Yeah,
for some ungodly reason.
It very much felt like. You know how at the end of some like cartoons they'll zoom in on a thing that does something spooky, and then it's like, ooh, maybe this is a foreshadowing that something spooky is going to happen with this thing, and then it turns out to be completely unrelated to anything and never comes up again. It feels like that. It feels like this is just here to be like a cinematic story thing, right? It doesn't actually have to do with anything. It's just, oh, well, at the movie or at the end of the movie, wouldn't it be cool if it like, I don't know, mirrored the events in the beginning? It's like, but it doesn't make any sense. They didn't get there in the movie. There is kind of like a big time gap before the end of the conflict and that scene, right? So maybe something happened in there, except they don't tell you what it was. So
maybe something did happen in the book and they cut it for time, which
I don't
was
know.
a bad decision.
Maybe the book maybe the book's point of view was from the mermaid lady. I don't know. Like, maybe that would explain why the conflict changed at the end of the movie. Like, so I don't know. It did feel like there was a lot missing.
Yeah,
right.
It was like it was an ill-adapted adaptation made by a guy who...
I don't know if it was the book that was bad or the adaptation that was bad. But either way, it was like it has some of the biggest glaring plot holes I had ever seen in a movie because it just didn't make any sense. And it's the kind of thing that, like, you know, you're watching it and you're like kind of with them on the ride. And for me, it didn't click in that, like, it didn't really make sense until I was watching that mirrored parallel at the end. It was like, that doesn't make any sense. And then the more I thought about it, the more the story unraveled. Because it was like, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense, and nothing else does. So I don't know. It's just, I was really disappointed because everything else about the movie is pretty good. The acting is pretty good. The costuming and sort of world building, and like you could clearly tell, what time frame this was coming in, and all of their clothing looked time appropriate, and the weapons they were using seemed time appropriate, and it was like everything made sense, like in terms of setting and like historical it fits and all of that, but it's like the actual plot doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Well, I think I've dug to the bottom of that. Based on the director's previous works, I can say that he does not have a very good-looking repertoire. His most famous film is that Hitman movie that they made in 2007.
Oh, God.
Not the newer one, the one before that. And the writer of that was the one who wrote 28 Weeks Later. The one that took 28 Days Later and made it into a dumb action movie.
That made no sense.
Yeah, that made no sense. So,
although I think you liked that one better than I did.
No, I hated 28 Weeks Later. I like 28 Days Later better than you did.
Wait.
28 Days Later was the
Weeks
first
Later
one.
was the one that followed the group of, like, military dudes.
Yeah, that's the one that followed the group of military dudes. I fucking hated that one.
Oh, really?
It was terrible.
I could have sworn that you had liked that at the time that we saw it, but maybe...
No, that was the one that was bad. I liked the one before it.
Because I liked 28 Days Later. I think maybe you liked it more, but I actively didn't like Weeks Later.
Which one is 28 Days Later? What
28 Days Later was the one where the guy wakes up for the hospital and has to find, like, his wife.
Anyway.
And 28 Weeks Later follows the group of military weirdos that...
Yeah, who, like, blow shit up.
I remember you guys. Maybe I'm thinking of a different zombie movie that follows a group of military things all over the place. And is that the one we were argued for like 2 hours about whether or not it was an indie movie?
That
Yes.
was 28 Days Later.
That
Yes.
was 28 Days
okay.
Later.
Right.
28 Days Later then also follows a group of military dudes around for like 6 hours.
No, I think there was a little bit of military dudes at the end of that one.
Yeah.
But I think
maybe I'm just colliding the two in my mind.
maybe.
Yeah, we would have watched them one right after the other.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is completely understandable. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I don't know. And the makeup looks good. Like the fish monster looked very fish
yeah.
monstery. Like
That's
like
good.
if you look at
So
screenshots
it's
of this
practical
movie,
effects.
Yeah, it looks very good.
yeah, if you look at screenshots of the movie, every point looks good. It looks like it is a good movie, and then the writing just falls apart. The acting is good. It's just it was so frustrating. And now it's like anybody who's hearing me, if they even wanted to watch it, like probably wouldn't be able to not think about these writing problems that I mentioned. Like if I had heard these things before I went into the movie, I would be watching for it, and it would have ruined my experience of the movie. I thought it was okay when I saw it. Like I didn't think it was good or like great, but I thought it was okay when I actually watched it. But the more I thought about it, it's just the more it didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, you could say, if anything, that the movie lingered with you.
Yeah. Except the only reason I was thinking about it was so that I had something to say on this podcast. If I didn't, I probably wouldn't have even cared.
Yeah,
I don't know.
This is one of those movies that's going to, like, some screenshots are going to pop up like on Reddit and Imgur, and they're gonna be, I don't know, a lot of critics didn't like this, but I didn't think it was that bad. Call out post for the entirety of Reddit.
I feel like the only reason this movie got made was because someone was looking for a different fish love story.
Yeah.
Because of Shape of Water, they were like, "Oh, Shape of Water, that was a good fish movie. We should make our own fish love story."
Except this time, the Shape of Water is
The Shape
titties.
of Daughter.
Ah!
All right, that
So-
was my joke for the day.
So yeah, I don't know. Maybe the plot lines made more sense in the book, but either way, the movie just it fell apart, and it makes me sad because it was so close to being good.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sucks. It had good production values, but the plot was
Exactly.
just awful. Right. That sucks. Does suck.
Yeah. And you know me, I'm not super hypercritical of stuff like this. It's just
No.
it felt like a movie without a point. So
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, that sucks.
let's move
Anything
on.
else that you've got, Saine?
No, I've been doing a lot of art this week, so I have not really
I see.
been doing other stuff.
So,
Unless you want to talk about Heroes of the Storm briefly, because they did release They released a map and updated another map, so we could talk about that for like 5 minutes if you want.
Let's talk about that very briefly.
Okay, I haven't played this. That's
So-
interesting to me.
So new character, Mephisto from Diablo 2. He
Seems
looks
okay.
great, right? He looks fucking
Visually.
fantastic visually. I don't think I have experienced a Mephisto that I even really noticed was in the game on either side.
I disagree. There were a couple that I remember being good. I think that what's going on with him is he might have a high skill floor. I think you need to get good at him before you can even play him. Is what it seems like to me. He's a mage, right? Predominantly,
Right.
An assassin mage.
One of the things that he does is that weird thing that MOBA character that they like to put in on MOBA characters where he can blink to a spot and then blink back, so he's all tricky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, except I don't think you have to blink back.
Yeah.
Although I constantly see them doing that at the worst possible moment and blinking back into the middle of a bunch of people who kill him.
Yeah.
So I don't know if people are just not using it when they should, or if it does that automatically, because I haven't actually played him.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So the next thing, they updated Hanamura,
Yes.
which I never disliked Hanamura that much, but I like the new interpretation way more.
I
Oh,
agree.
good.
I think it's much better.
I had a friend who
I kind of
hated Hanamura. Like, I started talking to him like it was a friend from like a long time ago. I talked to him about Heroes of the Storm for a little while, and he was just like, "Oh yeah. Fuck Hanamura though. I hate that fucking map." I was like, I think Blackheart Bay is worse, but
I didn't really like. I don't like Hanamura, not because of like the map design, or didn't like the old Hanamura, not because of the map design, but because of the fact that you really couldn't influence the game by pushing or doing like a normal MOBA thing. It was entirely based on the map mechanic. That was the only way to win, was to get the payload to fire off.
Like very literally the only way to win.
Yeah, you could never reach the enemy nexus and kill it.
Like all of your like all of the pushing and stuff just made your like cart gun fire better.
But even then, I don't like from conversations we had, I don't think that you disliked the map because of that. I think you just didn't like it as much as other maps. And that's kind of where I was at with it. So what they actually changed is they made it so that when you deliver a payload, instead of attacking the core, it instead attacks the nearest tower or whatever. So and they made the nexus actually like destroyable through pushing. So so now you can just like, if you just don't like, you can have one person contest the payload and that's all he does, and everybody else just pushes. Like it changes the strategy and makes it a little bit more. It
fun. also one of the big changes they made is, instead of having the old Hanamura, had 2 payloads that spawned whenever they felt like it, that were tied to your team. In the new Hanamura, it spawns a payload that acts like a tug of war. So you don't have to split your team in half in order to both contest the enemy payload and push your payload. It just mashes you into one big team fight wherever the
I didn't mind how it worked before because it created more strategy of how you were going to split things up. But I don't know. I could have gone either way with the payloads. Like, I don't mind it being a tug of war, really, but I kind of liked what it did with the other one. But I think just by making the Nexus directly targetable really changes the weight of that map mechanic. Almost maybe a little bit too much, and then it makes it a little bit less necessary to even think about. Because it doesn't even attack the Nexus, it attacks the nearest tower. It's like, you could just never go for a payload and just be good at pushing.
Right.
So, I don't know. I don't know. They're definitely, like... I think it's still changed for the better, for sure. But, and if nothing else, at least it'll make more people actually like the map. But, because I actually always kind of liked it.
Yeah, I didn't mind it. I never saw the big problem with Hanamura, but apparently...
Me neither, but apparently everyone else fucking hated it.
It's certainly better than Overwatch's Hanamura map.
I mean, until they change fucking Booty Bay, that's the one I'm waiting for.
Plus, what I don't understand about Hanamura is, why do people have issues with Hanamura, but not Towers of Doom? The one where that you have to get altars, and the altars directly attack the Nexus. Like, I don't understand what the difference is between those, other than instead of pushing a cart, you're channeling on a tower. Like, so
I think maybe it was the 2-lane thing made it so close proximity. I have no idea.
And maybe that's something. People didn't like Twisted Tree Line either.
Yeah.
Although that was kind of for different reasons, but yeah.
But now that the 2-lane map is more condensed and actually about pushing, you can respond to pushes better instead of having to just respond to the map mechanic. Whereas in Cursed Hollow, you really have to think about where you are before the map mechanic spawns. In Hanamura, it was just run up and down these 2 tiny lanes to block 2 different payloads.
Yeah. It seems almost like it almost seems like they made the Hanamura less like Towers of Doom and more like Cursed Hollow.
Mm-hmm.
Which is fine, I guess.
Yeah. So, the other map that they released is called Warsong Gulch. Ooh. It's based on... Yeah. You've played that one, though.
I didn't play it in Heroes of the Storm. I played Warsong Gulch.
We played with Scylla.
Yeah.
Really? Nah.
It wasn't me. I have not played Warsong Gulch.
The first time you played it was with Scylla, I remember.
Okay. Well, in any way about it, Warsong Gulch It's pretty fun. It's a regular 3-lane push map, and the main mechanic is that
Oh, it's actually
Around
Alterac Pass. It's not.
Alterac Pass, not Warsong Gulch.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know
Warsong
why I
Gulch
thought it
is
was
like-
Warsong Gulch.
Oh, because that's the first one that
Yeah.
everyone twinks out their level 20 characters to do.
Right.
Capture the flag one.
Yeah, well, anyway, the Alterac Pass, what you do essentially is you go around and try to free prisoners. And when you free the prisoner, it spawns like 3 wolf riders or whatever for you, or I think horsemen if you're Alliance side. It doesn't make a difference. They're the same thing. And they just push all 3 lanes at once. So it's kind of like Tomb of the Spider Queen, where they just have some pushing units that spawn. But they...
You know what? Actually,
map
we did
is-
play Alterac Pass because it came out with Ymir, so
Yeah.
we definitely played it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I think so.
Maybe only like once. It has a big like frozen lake in the center of it.
Right. But yeah, the point is it's an okay map. I feel like the map mechanic is very, very low key. Like even if you get the wolf riders, they pretty much die. Like they're not gonna fight a fort.
Oh, I don't know, dude. I think the map mechanic is pretty good. Because if you get it, it's kind of like Tomb of the Spider Queen, except, but like it like in Tomb of the Spider Queen, a spider could kill a fort on its own, whereas it probably isn't going to in Alterac Pass. But at the same time, if you're fighting with it, that it does a lot of damage. So if you can clear the creeps for it, it'll kill the tower real quick.
Right.
So, whereas even the spiders, like, I don't know.
The spiders have this big AoE attack that kills minions, whereas the Warsong Riders just kind of go and attack one at a time.
Yeah, it feels like the opposite thing. It's like Alterac, or the Wolf Riders are good at killing the tower, but not really the creeps, and the Spider Queen is good at killing the creeps, but not the tower.
Chat says that the Warsong Rider buffs nearby heroes. So if you are, like you said, if you are pushing with it,
right, okay,
it'll make you kill the tower faster. That makes sense.
You know, this map actually is very similar to Summoner's Rift, but it's like smaller. It's like a smaller Summoner's Rift.
That's what a lot of the 3-lane maps are, except the map mechanics almost get in the way of it.
No, I don't know. This one feels like more so. It even has the river. It has like the equivalent of jungle area. Like
that's true. Yeah.
I don't know.
It's nifty.
A bit more so than others, but like, yeah, I mean, all of them are at its core fairly similar. But
yeah, Blackheart Bay is the most different because it's like 2 lanes that are basically one, and then 1 lane that just means you fuck off and never pay attention to the rest of the game.
So anyway,
yeah. So that was Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah, there wasn't a ton to talk about, especially since none of us have actually played Mephisto. So,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it for games we've played this week. Why don't we take a short break, maybe 10 minutes?
Okay, sounds good.
So we'll take a short break and then come back in a little bit.
Also, are we robots? We just had like an automatic response to that was the same fucking one for both of us in the exact same like tone.
I think you might be robots.
We're robots.
All right.
Yes, Thelbot. Good job. You have become sentient. The uprising begins. All right.
All right. We'll be back at 5:10. We will see you guys in a little bit. All right, we're back. So for the second half of the show, we're going to talk about news. I don't know how much. Why don't we start with movie news? Because there seems to be less of it this time.
Oh yeah, there was like nothing. In fact, to fill time. Speaking of call-out posts to that Carolina barbecue place I ate at the fair. You guys fucking peddling your tomato-based vinegarless sauce. I see you. I'm calling the barbecue police on you, motherfuckers. That's not Carolina barbecue sauce. You lied to me. Anyway.
So Burt Reynolds died.
Yeah.
Oh. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I
Burt
feel
Reynolds-
like I should recognize him more than I do.
He was in a ton of movies in the 70s and more recently is known for Boogie Nights, which was a Paul Thomas Anderson film that came out back. It was the 90s.
97.
Yeah, it was like the one that got Paul Thomas Anderson big. He was also going to play Han Solo, but he didn't.
Ah.
Yeah. That was another thing. That's a thing that everyone is like mentioning. But yeah, he is a big actor who has been in big things and has continued to. So yeah.
Right.
We lost kind of a big one.
Apparently, he was the first time he saw himself in Boogie Nights, he was so unhappy he fired his agent and then won a Golden Globe.
Wow.
I mean, yeah, understandable.
That's funny.
That's funny.
Next one is a little piece of tiny piece of news. John Carpenter's Escape from New York, Prince of Darkness, and They Live receiving 4K re-releases.
Good.
Yeah.
It's gonna look great.
Man, I can't
probably.
spell Carpenter.
I hope.
I think, you know what the worst thing is? I'll be 100% real with you. I think these are the 3 John Carpenter movies I haven't seen.
Really?
Oh,
No, we've seen
Oh wait,
They
no,
Live.
not They Live. Yeah, I've seen that one.
You haven't seen Escape from New York?
No.
That's
no
And
way.
you know what the worst? You know what the worst
That's
thing
sort of
about that
surprising.
is, right?
What?
I haven't seen Escape from New York, but I have seen Escape from LA, which was terrible, but fucking hilarious.
I don't know how you haven't seen Escape from New York. I've fucking seen Escape from New
Yeah,
York, and
I don't know.
I have not seen Prince of Darkness though.
Yeah, I also haven't seen Prince of Darkness.
I don't think I even recognize the fog.
Oh, what was the fog?
Zombies? Zombie
A
sailors?
cloud of fog appears upon the shore and begins. Yeah, I don't know. Something about pirate.
From the look of
pirate
it, I don't
fog.
need to see it because I played the Secret World.
Yeah, pretty
You know,
much.
that probably. I mean, Secret World's probably like, like, what you call calling back to this
Inspired.
movie.
Yeah.
Inspired by this movie, but
And yeah, speaking of that, it's the same thing with fucking Prince of Darkness. I know very well of that movie because it was based on an H.P. Lovecraft story.
I feel like
Fair
I
enough.
should recognize this movie, but I don't. You know?
Yeah.
Prince of Darkness?
Yeah.
I can understand that. I feel like if you're going to recognize anything, you'd recognize the poster with like a face that seems to be like blowing away in the wind. It's a very distinct poster, and I can't really say anything about the movie because again, I've never seen it.
That's
Right.
funny. We should at least watch Escape from New York together.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
I've
absolutely.
never seen that one either, but I am surprised that you haven't.
Yeah.
I know
I mean-
about it though. Like I know
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happens and stuff. I just don't.
Right,
I haven't
right.
seen it.
So, next
Basically,
thing is
this guy gets sent by his boss to Shadow Moses Island, and sorry, go on.
you were the real Snake Plissken the whole time. I was just a shadow. All right. So the next thing, the last piece of news we have, is a little bit of a follow-up to a previous piece of news that we laughed at and made fun of, and probably why they're doing this. The Academy is postponing their new popular Oscar category. They were going to have a Oscar for popular filmmaking, so that like Avengers: Infinity War could win an Oscar. And they have now, they're not going to introduce it to this next Oscars. Maybe they'll introduce it next year. We don't know. We know that they're not going to. They say that they've postponed this. Possibly they say because of the fact that it's getting too close and they don't want to get the stuff. However, I have a belief that everyone made fun of them and that their
feelings got hurt.
So yeah,
their feelings got hurt.
So yeah, when Thel and I first saw this news, he was like, I don't even remember which one of us it was, but it was like, this looks like backpedaling, and I'm like, yeah, this looks like backpedaling.
Yeah,
so it's like we laughed at this, and I don't think the Oscars necessarily cares what the public thinks, but I bet you that a bunch of critics also got pissy about it. Like Oscar critics probably got pissy about it.
Like specifically members of the Oscar like the voting committee were like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like they do care a little bit what the public thinks. I feel like they were trying to use this to inject some something into the Oscars to make people care about it, because like the big Hollywood movies that get super popular and make a fuck ton of money ain't the same movies anymore to go in for the Oscars. You know what I'm saying?
What seems weird about it to me is like I think at its core it's a good idea that they have some, I don't know, more accessible films win. I just think like best popular film seems so condescending, you know?
Yeah, it kind of does.
Like,
it really does.
Like, because the point of this whole thing was so that movies, not just Marvel movies. I know that people like want to say, oh, it's just
Marvel movies are like a good like they're the thing right now. You know?
But like historically through the years, like there have been super influential movies that everybody saw and like to this day we still think about that didn't win an Oscar and lost to something you've never heard of. That happened over and over again. So like,
absolutely.
So like they need to come up with, I guess they don't need to, but the idea is it would be nice if they came up with some way to, I don't know, have an award for a movie that is influential or could be influential that isn't necessarily like, you know, Oscar or Best Picture winning, you know? But to say best popular movie, that just seems like it's like, here, you can sit at the children's table at the Oscars and have your children's award to win. And it's like, that just feels gross.
Yeah? Fucking 2012. I'm sorry. 2012 was a very good year for movies. There were a lot of very good movies that came out this year. There was Moonrise Kingdom, you know, there was Django Unchained, Skyfall, fucking Dread. The Place Beyond the Pines was 2012 too. You want to know what won Best Picture that year? Fucking Argo. I saw that movie twice and I have no memory of it. The Hunt came out that year. Fucking Argo. The Oscars are a joke, is my point.
Yeah.
Yes. I think we've talked about that a lot.
Oh, yeah, I bring it up at any fucking time I can bring it up. I bring up that the Oscars are a fucking joke. Argo. It's also the fucking year that fucking Paranorman lost to Brave. Christ.
Yeah, that was the one that all their kids saw.
Yeah.
That's what it is in every single animated Oscars category.
There's two fucking Chinese things.
Didn't Big Hero 6 win over something else that was really like Kubo and shit or something?
Yeah, Big Hero 6 went over. I think that was the
there was like two good ones that year.
Yeah, that was the Chinese things that nobody fucking saw one. That was Princess Kaguya and Song of the Sea.
Right.
Those bastards.
Right, Kubo lost to Zootopia.
Yeah, Kubo lost to Zootopia.
Which, in fairness,
is more valid than just saying those Chinese things nobody fucking saw.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Like, they should have talked to people before they announced this so close to the Oscars, because it was, like, pretty obvious that this felt like a cop-out thing to do. And they didn't. It's like they announced something without even really thinking about how people would react to it or what the consequences would be. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's and I do have to say this. More recently, by which I mean since 2014, so like 4 years ago, the Oscars have been getting a little bit better about like not making Argo the fucking movie of the year for some dumbass bullshit reason. I mean, like recently, like 2014, it was Birdman, which was a surprising knockout hit that nobody thought was going to win an Oscar, and everyone thought it was going to go to Boyhood because it was a Hollywood movie. You know, Whiplash
It
also
took
got a
12
lot
years
that
to
year.
make.
I just wish that like the Oscar ceremony would get out of its ass and stop making the whole thing about politics, because I don't want to pay attention to any of that shit.
Yeah, and it's weird because the Oscar ceremony gets really into politics, when a lot of the times the politics are anti all of the people who are at the Oscars. Sort of try to brush that over the sides.
So
we don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
gross. We didn't rape no kids. Yeah.
Did that happen before the last Oscars, or did this happen this year?
The
Weinstein thing.
The Weinstein thing was last Oscars. They didn't say shit about it.
That's
they swept that shit under the fucking rug.
Yeah, they were too busy.
What could they have possibly said though?
They could have decried his actions in any way, shape, or form.
And then people would be like, "Oh, they're
or
just
talk
doing
about
it,
or like, I don't know. There's lots of things they could do. I feel like they could have acknowledged it. They could have acknowledged it and said something about, you know, how bad it is. I don't know. Like it's not. It's more than saving face. I don't know.
I mean, but people would have said shit about it anyway, right?
Oh, like, yeah, people would have said shit about it anyway. The thing is they very much want it's not so much that people would have said shit about it anyway. People are trying to get everyone else to forget about that, is what I'm saying.
Right.
They didn't want to bring it up.
Right.
They wanted to focus on other politics. They don't want to make Hollywood look bad because it's a giant Hollywood jack-off.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Fair enough. It's true.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah,
that's enough of the Oscars.
Yeah, here, get out of the way, Tybalt. I need to do things right now.
Yeah.
All right. So, gaming stories now.
Oh, boy.
Why don't we save that one for the last one? So we can talk about that
longer. Yeah, okay.
There is a trademark for Katamari Damaci Encore.
Hell yeah.
I love Katamari. We love Katamari.
We love Katamari.
Fucking Katamari Damaci is one of my favorite, like, just series where you can just fucking... I don't even know how to describe it, because the game itself is completely fucking undescribable.
Indescribable. Roll everything over it and you make a planet, motherfucker. Katamari.
Or stars, or constellations, or...
Depends on the game.
Yeah.
Or... also the king of the cosmos, who is like
he's the guy who actually makes it into a planet and or star and or constellation.
Is there? There's a girl. Sometimes you roll people up. It's fucking. It's just pure. It's just the pure, unadulterated essence.
One of the best parts.
Everything that you think about when you think Japan is crazy.
Yeah, it's like crystallized Japan is weird.
Yeah.
Yes. What was the best part? Is that what you were going to say?
No, the best part is where people scream when you roll up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just begin like twitching, just manically.
It feels like you're playing a natural disaster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
just
think funny.
My favorite experience with a previous Katamari game was trying out the 2-player mode for the very first time.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
Where you have to each control one part of the ball individually, and so you're like yelling at your friend, "Okay, we're going left, left, left."
I don't know. Most of the people I played with were in sync enough that we both saw a thing and we were like, "Oh yeah, that's the thing we're gonna roll up," and then we did. So
I think the first time I played it was with some guy that I like knew for like that school year or something. And we could not synchronize our gameplay. And like, even when we were saying when one of us would say go left, it's like the person who's on the left has to turn right and the person who's on the right has to turn right. And so but you're trying to go left because you have to like turn it. It was just.
And then to make matters worse, Dalsson doesn't know the difference between left and right half the time.
Exactly. I don't know the difference between left and right. So I would like, wait, which towards you or towards me?
So
it was just so great.
Next piece of news: Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Spider-Man make money.
So the new PS4 Spider-Man game by Insomniac Games, sort of predictably, is now the fastest-selling game of 2018 to date, based on UK chart numbers.
Absolutely predictably. Every single fucking Spider-Man game is great, and everybody knows it.
Yeah, well, actually, that's not true, but...
Yeah.
Okay, well, the ones that aren't good, nobody remembers, so everybody
they're always at least okay, usually.
Yeah.
But nobody really thinks about them since Spider-Man 2, kind of.
Yeah.
It's true.
But I mean, Insomniac making a Spider-Man game, like,
yeah, that's what that big open world thing is. One of the things that they're
people
kind of
knew it was going to be good.
Exactly.
Did Crash come out this year or last year?
Last year.
Last year. Okay, I'm curious how it did compared to Crash, but that's just because Crash went bonkers. So
yeah, Crash went fucking crazy, making a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sold more copies in a shorter period of time than God of War, which is crazy. Wow. Far Cry 5.
Data Boy, that one?
Data Boy, yeah.
The new one? Yeah, okay. Far Cry, more than Far Cry 5, that's...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Grand Theft Auto 5 was still third this month, though.
Yeah. Jesus.
Wow. Fuck.
Crash Bandicoot's fifth. So
yeah,
that's still doing well.
Still making that dosh. Good for
God,
it.
that's crazy.
To be fair, though, I think it got a Switch release this year, so that sort of makes sense.
Yeah. It got a Switch and its PC releases this year, too.
Right, okay.
Right.
But yeah, still, like, I don't know, like, somehow none of those actually surprised me. Like that Spider-Man did better than those. Like, yeah. I'm just like, yeah, Spider-Man did better than those. I expected that.
Although, it's kind of interesting for it to beat God of War, because God of War did so phenomenally well. It's like, it did super surprisingly well, and I've seen the numbers on God of War, so to see Spider-Man just crush it already seems crazy. Yeah, that seems ridiculous.
Everybody was talking about God of War. It was like super good.
People are going to be... Game of Year stuff is going to be interesting for people who have played PlayStation games, just because there's been so many good PS4 games this year. So
yeah, this year has been a good year for the fucking PS4.
Good time to pick one up.
Yeah, last year I would say it was like, oh, good year to play the fucking Nintendo Switch. This year it's like, oh, good time to be PS4. Yeah. Xbox, maybe you'll have your day.
Xbox,
the year before that was Doom, right? 2012? No, that was 2012. What year is it? 2008? Wait, was it 12? What? God, I'm really bad at dates.
Doom? Doom was 2016.
16. So it was, okay, yeah, it was the year before last then.
Yeah, Doom was that.
Saying it's almost 2019. Do you know what year it is?
I know what year it is now. I just forgot what, for some reason, I thought Doom came out in 2012, and I have no idea why.
I don't know either.
Did the Doom movie come out in 2012?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure the Doom movie came out like really close to Doom 3 releasing.
I think...
No, I don't think so. I think it came quite a bit after that.
It came a little ways after that. I think Doom 3 was still fresh enough that it was banking off of it.
Yeah.
It's 2005. So that was still a long time ago. But
yeah.
Anyway.
I think
I don't know. I just mix up dates. Who cares?
Fair enough.
Yeah, understandable. Time is a concept that doesn't exist.
So our next story is H1Z1 and Everquest.
Yeah!
Are being ported to mobile.
That's just insane to me. I'm gonna retell a story I told these two assholes. Fucking... When I was a child just getting into Everquest, I remember my dad was really into Everquest, and that's why he got me into Everquest. And I remember that he specifically said, don't install Everquest, your computer will not run it. You don't have enough space to have it on your computer, and you might mess up your computer if it overwrites things. And I was like, okay, sure. And he had to buy me a new computer, and I'm not talking a laptop. This was like 1995. or something, like somewhere around in there. I'm talking a new like stand-up desktop computer. He had to buy a new one for me so that I could play EverQuest with him. And now it's on your fucking phone.
Yeah.
I mean, this probably could have been ported to phones a lot sooner if we tried.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But
one of the first times I was really surprised about like a porting to a phone. This was like when like the first iPad came out like a bajillion years ago. They ported fucking Dead Space 1 to the phone. I was like,
really?
Oh fuck!
Wow!
Holy shit! Like you can do that on a phone? Fuck me! It was the coolest shit. I never played it on that because I was like, I don't want to play a third-person shooter on like a fucking touchscreen, though. That sounds like the worst shit, but cool, I guess.
This also, H1Z1 is also, what, the 4th Battle Royale game being ported to mobile, too, now? And we were a little surprised when they were talking about Fortnite and PUBG.
Yeah. Yeah.
And more importantly, this makes it the 118th time that H1Z1 has been released. Hooray! Congratulations, H1Z1, on your 118th release.
Well, really,
people
it depends.
Give Skyrim shit about it.
Well, it really depends on what you mean by H1Z1, because this is probably the 14th time the name has been released, but they've changed the name and what that goes with over and over again, too.
Yeah. I'm also counting when it wasn't named H1Z1 and everybody basically 100% outed it as a scam, so they had to change the name.
That was a different game.
Are you sure?
I'm sure. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
I think we've had this conversation before.
We've had this conversation. That was not H1Z1. I promise.
I don't know. But okay, I'll believe you.
So, yeah. I would try EverQuest on the phone. It sounds like it would be terrible, but I'll try it. That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah.
Might as well. I mean, my phone isn't playing any other games except for like...
I want to play it on my fucking... I want to play it on my fucking computer still to this day, and I just haven't.
Yeah.
Haha.
Yeah.
Okay, so last topic, Valve updates and adult games.
Ah, yes.
Oh boy. This is the topic that they have been pretty quiet on for like the last while.
Well,
it may have finally come back to bite them in the butt.
Well,
okay. Not quiet on.
Okay, so this is a continuing of the story about how Valve said that they were going to put basically any games that were not outright illegal onto their platform, and then they were just kind of be hands off in terms of like, you know, whether or not they support that kind of content on their platform is not going to be like up to them, like according to them now.
Yeah.
So now, they added. Not only did they are allowing adult games on the platform, finally, like actually allowing them to go through, but they updated the content filters,
mm-hmm.
and I assume by default, adult games will be filtered out. But there's probably a tick box somewhere that lets you do it, and then now you can filter out games with up to 10 tags, up from 3.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't like racing games and you don't want to ever see a racing game again, you can just filter out racing. Independent of like what other kinds of filters you want to have.
Sure wish there was a garbage video game tag.
You know, there might be like an asset flip tag somewhere.
Yeah,
except people would have to actually apply the tag, so I don't know. You'll still see some bullshit, but at least...
Look, hello? Did I just die?
What?
Am I back?
Did you die? I don't think you'd... Oh.
Oh, no.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe the video froze for a second. I never stopped hearing you.
Okay, weird.
My Discord was messing up really bad, so I'm not sure what happened there.
Well, you just kind of didn't make any noise for a little while, but I just thought you were letting me talk, so...
Yeah, weird.
But anyway, you know, and then before you could always filter out early access titles and stuff like that, too, so... they're just giving you more tools to release
Right.
to filter out things.
So my question is, are they still going to require those adult games to have like nude patches and then make it so that they're hard to find on the forums and stuff?
No,
or
they
are
said
they just going hands off?
they said all content that is not illegal or straight up trolling, whatever that means.
Yeah.
Which I don't know. Most legitimate adult games aren't straight up trolling. It's like things like I don't know.
Yeah.
Things like asset flips that probably count for straight up trolling. Although that policy is vague enough that is a little concerning maybe, but I don't think that even games like Hatred, right? I don't think they're going to filter out that, even though that could be potentially viewed as straight up trolling.
Yeah.
Maybe that school shooter game, do you remember that?
Yeah,
that's probably straight up trolling.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Yeah, so this is a good move. I'm really happy that they're doing this. Not necessarily because I need to play adult games or whatever, but because I think it's nice to have them being a neutral platform and just allowing kind of everything.
Yeah, they're just like, we'll just
I've always
shit on a thing.
I've always been on the side that I would rather just everything go on Steam, and if and improve the filtering and the ability to sort things out. But I've never been one who's been concerned with bad games or whatever being on the store. Like that's I would rather have more shitty games that I ignore than potentially not or missing out on a game that I want.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Dalsson's
I feel like
even.
Oh no.
Oh, it's just Skype. I heard him talk.
No, it's Skype and it's my whole computer. It's too hot. It's too hot.
Okay.
Shit.
Well, we'll wrap this up here in a minute anyway. What were you gonna say, Thel?
I was just gonna say I completely agree. I feel like bad games can go onto Steam. It's like bad games can go onto Steam even if they're fucking like absolute trash garbage messes that are a huge riff off of another game. It's like whatever. It's not like it's gonna make a bajillion dollars or something.
Yeah.
Fuck it. Bad games can exist. I believe in the right of bad games to exist. I believe all art should exist. I believe that it should be mentioned whether or not the art is trash, and if it's trash, people should say that it's trash. But I don't think it has a right to not exist or be on a platform that will get it to people who might enjoy it, even if fucking no one would enjoy it.
Yeah, and I think it's the purpose, or I think it's the responsibility of people like us and the individuals actually buying the game to do a little bit of research and listen to people whose opinions you trust and figure out whether or not you would like a game for yourself. I don't think the corporate Valve mandate should decide what you get to play. So I don't know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't like early access as much, but again, with early access, I would rather it be there than not. So,
right,
yeah.
Even if I've been burned on early access a few times, but I think I can safely say that I have played more early access games that I've enjoyed than ones I didn't. Some of my favorite games were early access, like Dead Cells, Slay the Spire, Streets of Rogue. Like there have been several that I really liked. So.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of that comes from the fact that, okay, you have probably seen more early access games that you know you will not enjoy than seen early access games that you know you will enjoy. So you just don't try to play them. So, of course, you've played the ones that you like because you can tell by looking at an early access game. Not 100% of the time, but you can a lot of times tell, like, this isn't finished or I'm just not going to like the content.
Yeah. And I'm also less willing to take a risk on anything made in 3D.
Yeah.
Right.
Things that use 2D art might still be bad for sure, but at least the quality will be somewhat reasonable. Whereas in 3D games, like, you just phase through walls, invisible walls, you fly into the skybox. Who knows? Who knows what'll happen?
Yeah. And it's
sometimes
like
that can be fun, but
yeah.
And
sometimes like you got things like last night I was looking on some stuff. I'm looking at fucking like city skylines and how absolutely horribly abysmal their fucking DLC bullshit is. Like, it's getting to some, like, you know, train simulator levels of garbage. But, like, I don't believe I believe that Paradox should be allowed to release that. I believe people should say that's some bullshit, but I believe that Steam should allow them to do that so that people can be like, hey, fuck you. What is this shit? Why do I have to pay $10 for something that does like one thing that should have been in a patch? In any other game would have been in a patch. Fuck you, Paradox, you know.
Even in other Paradox games, it's in a patch.
Dead-ass Stellaris has added more than all of your DLCs combined in their last fucking patch, you bastards.
Seriously.
Fuck you, City Skylines.
Yeah,
God damn.
There's 12 DLCs, and one of them is natural disasters. How is that cool?
Yeah, like that. Some of them are stuff they should have added in the beginning. At least 3 of them are like new radio stations for like new songs or some shit.
At least that, like, I don't know, songs and stuff. That does feel like DLC sort of things.
Yeah,
but
the After Dark patch adds nighttime and like nightclubs and stuff. Or wait, no, the patch was nighttime. The stuff you have to pay for is like nightclubs and stuff, like buildings you can build. There's like specific like greenery buildings. There's one that fixes the roads and how that works. It's like, there's so much nothing for so much money.
Yeah.
Call out Post for, I'm just going to say for the most part, Paradox in general for this bullshit.
I feel like it's the developers. I don't feel like Paradox forces people to release paid DLC.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually,
Paradox
looking at the developer, it's they did City Skylines and Cities in Motion, which is just as bad. Like, that's another thing that
Cities in Motion's a City Skyline DLC.
No,
that's what I thought it was.
No, Cities in Motion is its own game.
Huh.
Yeah, whereas, you know, other Paradox things, they're just a publisher, so it varies wildly based on, like, BattleTech was published by Paradox, apparently.
Yeah, and
Mountain
it was
Blade. Viking Conquest was the DLC for that, and it was literally an entirely new game.
Yeah, but it was also very literally, like, it was almost like a mod pack. Because there were like a ton of mods that added a lot of the stuff that they did. There's also, like I said, Stellaris is Paradox too. And they've been really, really good.
They have some DLC. They actually seem to have quite a bit of DLC, but is the DLC at least more meaningful?
The DLC in Stellaris is like a bunch of shit.
Yeah. So I think that's really the difference. Like,
yeah. And then there was like patches and stuff.
It's the price to content ratio, and if it's not good, then
yeah, exactly. Then that just sucks.
Yeah, and like some of their, I know some of their, what was it?
Oh, Pillars of Eternity was published by Paradox?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of their grand strategy games have also kind of DLC gouged.
Yeah.
If I remember right, it was like a different type of DLC gouging. Like, it wasn't like we have a million DLCs that you need, but it's like half the game wasn't in the game, but they had made it before the game and just like held on to it for DLC.
Right.
You know, Magicka had a lot of kind of shitty DLC.
It's true.
A lot of them added like a costume and a weapon.
Yeah.
Some of them added like areas and stuff, but there's like a ton of DLC. I don't even want to count it. There's like more than 20. Looks like.
Oof.
Jeez.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
I think that's it for this week. It's a little bit of a shorter week, but under the circumstances, that's not too surprising to me.
Yeah. There wasn't a ton of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, and yeah. Anyway, what you just came out with that Hollow Knight video the week before last, right? Not this.
Yeah,
last
so I got a
Friday,
video coming out this week.
Any hints on what that's going to be about, or?
Excuse me. It's 2 Point Hospital.
Oh, cool. That's exciting.
Nice.
Yeah.
I really wanted to pick that game up.
Yeah.
Because it looked funny and silly and
so far as I played to it, it is very funny and silly. Unfortunately, I feel like the joke of the video isn't going to be that. It is going to be the thing that all of the reviews talk about, in that, well, after, about, like, in the first 4 hours of the game are fucking great. It's wonderful to play. And then you get to the later hours when you realize that there's so many bugs that just break the game. And
Damn.
the pathing for everyone is bad. They like get in like these huge cluster fucks.
Well, at least those
I'm
are things.
excited for that.
At least those things are fixable. Because I feel like
Yeah.
I'd rather deal with crazy bugs that they fix versus, or even modders fix.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, like actually just bad pacing with the game or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Because like the thing is, especially from what I played, the game's fun as heck. It's a great management sim so far. It's like I played the Spatial's Galactology, and I kind of hated that because it was very weirdly directionless, and all of like the gain that you got seemed to not really do anything. It was like how silver in like RimWorld is like is super you don't make a lot of silver, so like when you pay for stuff you have to like sort of scrounge for your silver and make sure that you're only buying the essentials, where in Space Galactology was like you make a ton of money and you just, what the fuck are you gonna do with the money with, because you use resources for everything. Can't really buy that much resources with money, so you're just holding on to it. In this, it's like you got money, you make money, you put things down that you pay with money, and it's funny, and there's a funny radio DJ that comes on in between all of the music, and he talks to you, and these people come in and they have light bulbs on their heads. And
Hey
you have to
there,
hear that.
2-Point Hospital, it's 3 Dog!
Pretty much. And everyone looks like they're an Aardman cartoon.
Good.
So, what do you got coming up on your channel, Dalsson? What are you streaming this week?
I honestly don't know. I'm considering restructuring my like time schedule, so I'm gonna have to figure that out as I go along.
Gotcha.
For now, I'm just gonna default to say probably more Path of Exile. I was thinking we should try and play Divinity during our night streams because
we'll
really
talk
need
about
to
that more
finish
later.
Divinity.
Yeah.
I'd rather not talk about things like that on the podcast. But okay, so that's it for us this week. Remember, as always,
Stay beautiful.